You there, guardsmen! Do you like multi-part plastic sci-fi infantry that doesn't cost a kidney? Well, good news! The Mordian Glory channel is now officially sponsored by Wargames Atlantic. Wargames Atlantic sells fantastic sci-fi models which are perfect as alternative Imperial Guardsmen. This includes the Bulldogs, totally not Praetorians, or the Grognards, which are totally not Mordians, Praetorians, or Kriegers, all in one box. And the best bit is, Wargames Atlantic offers a bulk buy discount, and the more you buy, the bigger the discount. Perfect for amassing those huge platoons of guardsmen. So what are you waiting, you fool? Click on the affiliate link down below, get yourself some great models, and support the channel today.
Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you how I would build a beginner Cadian army, starting from 500 points all the way up to a full 2,000 point army list. And at every level, we are going to be leaning into that which makes Cadians great, combined arms warfare, bringing together tanks, infantry, officers, and artillery to make some powerful yet thematic armies. And so without further ado, let's fix bayonets and Cadia stands right into this. First things first, let me introduce you to New Recruit. This is the army building tool that I use to build pretty much all of my Warhammer 40k lists at this point. It's very simple and easy to use, and it's completely free. This video is not sponsored by New Recruit. I just think it's a really good tool. I like what they do, and I like to try and support them. Whether you're a beginner or a veteran, I recommend New Recruit, especially if you're sick of using the GW app and everything constantly getting paywalled. With all of that said, now let's get into the army list, starting off with our 500 point list. 500 points is a great level for people who are just getting into the game. It allows you to throw a few units down on the board and just get a feel for how your army is going to play. You'll probably find yourself moving past 500 points very quickly, but it's still a very common first place, first level for new players. Now, naturally, because we are going for a Cadian theme with these armies, I have gone for a combined arms detachment. Now, any guard regiment can be represented by the combined arms detachment, but it is associated with the Cadians, whether it's just because of their tendency to use combined arms warfare or the fact that in the codex there's Cadians plastered all over the combined arms attachment. One way or another, it's a good fit, and we're going to be using the combined arms attachment for all of our lists in this video. Our first unit in this list is going to be our Warlord, and we've gone for a Cadian Castellan. I've given him a plasma pistol and a power fist. The Castellan represents your quintessential Cadian officer, and he's also pretty good on the battlefield. Not only can he do 2 orders, but he also gives the unit that he joins sustained hits, increasing their damage output. We've also gone for a Cadian command squad. Command squads are an iconic unit for the Guard. They are the hub, the nexus through which so much of the chain of command functions. Now, our command squad can do 1 order via its commander, but it also comes with 4 other guys. We get a special weapon guy. I've gone for a plasma gun here. I always go for plasma guns. Plasma's great. And then I've gone for a Master Vox and a Medipack because I have to take those. In the Cadian command squad, you have some fixed choices. The Medipack and the Master Vox are fixed choices. Now, for our last guardsman here, I've gone for a regimental standard. Now, gameplay-wise, strictly speaking, you can swap this regimental standard out for another plasma gun or a melter gun or a special weapon of your choice. Like I said, always go plasma or melter. I've kept the regimental standard for one reason. Rule of cool. Nothing, and I will say this again, nothing looks cooler in all of Warhammer 40k. Looks better than a Primarch, looks better than any sort of Xenos monster. Nothing looks cooler than a platoon of guardsmen fighting under the banner of the Emperor. It's iconic, it just oozes flavor, and it just feels right. So even though there are many sensible arguments against not bothering with the flag, always take the flag. This sorts out all of our officers, but now we need to go over to my favorite bit of any list, the infantry corps. Because every day in the corps, it's like a day on the farm. every meal a banquet, every paycheck a fortune, every formation a parade. I love the Corps. Our infantry at this level consists of one big blob of Cadian shock troops, plasma guns and melter guns, every time. We've also gone for a couple of Voxcasters, and we've gone for a couple of sergeants. I've left the sergeant with las pistol and chainsword, but if you want to give them auto guns or bolt pistol and chainsword, you can do. Truth be told, I've tried every combination, and having a certain weapon on a Cadian sergeant makes no difference. It's not like when you look at a Krieg blob and they can take like plasma pistols and power swords, then it makes a big difference. But there is very, very little in-game impact on the difference between a las pistol, a bolt pistol, and an auto gun. So go with one whichever you think looks best. We've also gone for a unit of Kazakin. These are the Cadian Elite. We've gone for 2 with plasma gun, 2 with melter gun, 1 guy with the Voxcaster, 1 guy with the hotshot marksman rifle, 1 guy with a melter mine, and then we've gone 2 blokes with just the hotshot las guns, and we've got a sergeant with the power weapon and plasma pistol. This gives us 30 bodies, which at 500 points is a very respectable amount of bodies to have. Combine that with our command squad and our Cadian Castellan, and we actually have 36 infantry at 500 points. The role of infantry in any guard army, we might as well cover this now because it's going to be true all the way up to 2,000 points, is to focus on doing primary objectives and to do screening. That is to take the hit from very scary enemy units so that your damage dealers, like your tanks, can then turn around and smash the enemy. At 500 points, though, you do find that you tend to have units pulling double duty. So in this case, our Kazakin are not only a screening unit, but also a pretty good damage dealer as well. On top of this, we're going to take our Cadian shock troops and we're going to add our Cadian command squad and our Cadian Castellan to that unit to make one big giga blob. Not only is that going to give us lots of protection for our Cadian Castellan and our Cadian command squads, because these guys die last, just the basic goobers always die first, but it's also going to allow the Cadian Castellan to take advantage of the Master Vox. This is where I introduce you to your first guard trick, the command blob. Cadian Castellans can normally only do their orders in a 6-inch range. That's not very far at all. But if you put a Cadian Castellan and a Cadian command squad in the same blob, now he can't join the command squad on its own. He has to join the command squad inside this blob of Cadian shock troops. I'm not going to get into the vagaries of how the leader mechanic works. Just trust me, you want to put all of these together into one big squad. Now, when you do that, because he's part of the big squad, he can then benefit from the Master Vox in the command squad. So by putting the command squad in here and then the Cadian Castellan in here, it means that he can use that Master Vox, giving him a 24-inch range on his orders. That is a massive, massive boost. That means that you don't have to have all of your guys bunched together in a big ball. You can actually spread out a little bit, and that can be fantastic for when you're doing screening, and it can be fantastic for just not having all your guys in one place, which potentially can cause some problems. Now, the last part of our list is our tank, and we have gone for a Leman Russ Vanquisher. Frankly, squeezing in a Leman Russ in a 500 point list is kind of evil. There are going to be a few armies that are just going to struggle with this, and the fact that in the guard you can take a tank and still have all the infantry that you want is something that separates us from a lot of other armies at 500 points. You might come across something like a Land Raider or like a big Hecaton Land Fortress or a big Tyranid monster at 500 points. But typically you come across that and then just a handful of infantry. The fact that we get a good tank and then we get all our infantry is fantastic. There is just one problem with including the Vanquisher at this points level. We don't have a tank commander to order him around, because infantry officers can order infantry, but really you need tank commanders to order tanks. Fortunately, we have a solution for this. In our combined arms attachment, we have got a stratagem called Flexible Command. This costs 2 command points, and It essentially means that your infantry officers can order both infantry and tanks, and your tank officers can order both tanks and infantry. This is really important for our list because it means that our Cadian Castellan can now order our tank. Now, sure, it's going to cost 2 command points, which is pricey, but you do get 1 command point in your turn and you get 1 command point in your opponent's turn. So as long as you're careful with that and you're husbanding that resource, you should be able to pull this off every turn. Also, you might get lucky and get one of those command points back, because by having the Cadian Castellan inside the Cadian Shock Trooper blob, you can benefit from the Voxcaster piece of equipment, which means on a 4+, you'll get one of your command points back. Fantastic. We've covered a lot of different things there, especially at a 500 point level. But the good news is, now that we know about using flexible command, now that we know about putting officers in command blobs and stuff, those are tricks that we don't need to cover again, and they are ones that are going to help us all the way up to 2,000 points. But that just about covers everything at 500 points. Let's get to our next milestone, 1,000 points. One thing I want to mention at this juncture is that every single unit that we included at 500 points has made it into this 1,000 point list. And everything that we include in the 1,000 point list will make it to the 1,500 point list, and everything that makes the 1,500 point list makes it to the 2,000 point list. So essentially, you don't have to worry about buying some units at one level and then me taking them out of the list at a later level and those units feeling like it's wasted money. We're going to take this army and grow it and make sure that every unit comes with us along the way. So we're not wasting our money and we're making sure we're getting the most out of the units that we buy. Because Warhammer's expensive, yo. So at 1,000 points, we've still got Arcadian Castellan and we've still got Arcadian Command Squad. We've added one more officer to the mix, and that is the Leman Russ Commander. This is a Leman Russ who can do orders. Now he comes with, or I should say what I've given him, is an Executioner Plasma Cannon, Lance Cannon, 2 Plasma Sponsons, a Heavy Stubber, and a Hunter Killer Missile. This is just my favorite way of running Leman Russ Commanders. All of that plasma makes him an absolute machine of destruction when facing off against elite enemy infantry. He will hoover up Space Marine squads like no tomorrow. He's a fantastic damage dealer, and he also, because he can do vehicle orders, he takes the pressure off Arcadian Castellan, who... And that means we don't have to do flexible command and we don't have to spend those command points unless our commander goes down, at which point Arcadian Castellan can come in as a backup option and we can lean on flexible command again. But this guy hopefully is going to be doing all of the tank orders that we need at this level. One thing I've given him is Grand Strategist. The reason I've done this is because that gives him an extra order. It's an enhancement that lets you do an extra order. And now we've got 2 Vanquishers. So this one tank here can order himself and these tanks. So he's a really, really big linchpin in our army. But we've got 3 Leman Russes at 1,000 points. That is terrifying. I've played 40k for a long time. And let me tell you, over many, many editions, 3 Leman Russes at 1,000 points has been lethal. Has been utterly deadly and is a very, very difficult thing for your opponent to deal with. I'm not saying you should go in there expecting to win every game. I'm saying you're going to go in there and you should feel confident. But going back to the infantry corps, we've still just got the 1 squad of Cadian shock troops here, but we've expanded to have an extra Kazakin squad. So we have focused a little bit on expanding the tank corps at this level. And we've just got 40 infantry. If we include our officers, we've got 46 infantry. This is just the minimum amount of infantry that I'd want to include at this level. Ideally, I'd want 2 big blobs of Cadians, but unless I'm willing to give up Grand Strategists to do that, I can't quite afford that. Also, the Kazakin are great because they can order themselves via Warrior Elite, and they can get bonus orders from officers on top of that. So these are very good infantry. The reason why I ended up going down a more elite route at 1,000 points is because you tend to find at 1,000 points, most armies are really taking very elite stuff. they're still only going to have a handful of models. So us only having, 40 to 46 infantry is enough. We can still screen out, and it gives us just enough bodies to make sure that our tanks can hit the enemy and keep hitting them. And really what you find at 1,000 points is the enemy comes in, has one big blow against you, tries to be a knockout blow. If you can take it, you can then just blast them back. And this is enough infantry to take one charge, and this is enough tanks to throw them back into the sea. Next up, we've got 1,500 points. I'm going to be honest with you, not many people play at 1,500 points. It's a bit of a strange thing, but the usual progression is you get your first 500 point army together, you play your first couple of games just to get a feel for it, you get hooked, you go away, you build up to 1,000 points, you play your first, what feels like proper game of 40k, and then you really, really enjoy it, and you go away and you sort of build up to 2,000 points, and that's it, you've made it into the big leagues. But I still feel like 1,500 points is a nice middle ground. It's a nice milestone. So for the sake of completeness, I'm going to cover it. Also, I'm a bit of an old grognard, and I used to play 1,500 points as standard when I was a kid growing up. So it has a bit of a soft spot on my heart. So we're going to cover 1,500 points, even if it's just for that one reason. We've got our Cadian Castellan, we've got our command squad, and we've got a Leman Russ commander. We've added in another tank, and we've gone for a Rogel Dawn commander this time. We've gone for the Rogel Dawn commander because people love Rogel Dawns. They love them. I'm not actually a massive fan of the Rogel Dawn from a gameplay point of view. I think the Russ actually does a better job. But the Rogel Dawn is very, very cool. And we've been going with the rule of cool throughout a lot of these lists. And it's still a really good unit. And I am a bit of an oddity when I say I don't like the Rogel Dawn commander. A lot of other competitive players will tell you they're a fantastic unit. So we've got a Rogel Dawn in there because, screw it, let's add a Dawn in and get some officers and get some orders whilst we're here. We've expanded our infantry corps. So at 1,000 points, we kind of added a little bit of infantry in and went heavy on the tanks. Now we are making sure we have all the bodies that we need. So we've added in 2 more big bricks of Cadians. Now these guys don't need anybody to lead them. They don't need anybody to lead them. The Cadian Castellan and the Cadian Command Squad can do 3 orders between them. So they can order their own blob and they can order the 2 other blobs here. Now that does mean that our Kazakin, which previously had been enjoying the extra orders from the officers, are probably not going to get orders from the officers, but that's fine. They can still cruise along just ordering themselves via Warrior Elite. Any bonus orders they get on top of that is whatever, it's fine. It's nice to have. So all of our infantry still has orders. We're just not doubling up with the Kazakin anymore. And we also have all of our tanks. We've still got 2 Vanquishers here, and they're all getting orders as well because each one of these does 2 orders. So we've got a nice round infantry corps, 80 bodies, mixture of regulars and elites, and we've got a very well fleshed out tank corps as well. So here we are, 2,000 points. What is the last 500 points we're going to add to our list to just round it out? Well, we've taken our Rogel Dawn and we've turned him into just a regular Rogel Dawn for now. And we've added in a Tech Priest Engine Seer. A Rogel Dawn with a Tech Priest Engine Seer is one of the toughest things to crack in the game. Because it's got a 2+ save. It gets a 4+ invulnerable save from the Tech Priest Engine Seer. The Engine Seer can heal D3 wounds on it. And you can pop smoke on it for a stratagem. And you can also use the Rogel Dawn's ablative plating to just blank 1 attack per game. Tech Priest plus Rogel Dawn equals very, very tough nut to crack. So we've got the Rogel Dawn, but we've also added in a Russ Commander and we've given him Grand Strategist. So we've got 5 tanks. We've got 2 Vanquishers, 2 Russ Commanders, obviously full plasma again, and we've got a Rogel Dawn. Now that is a very, very solid tank corps. 5 tanks, 5 big boom boomers. We've also added in a Scout Sentinel. At this level, we need something cheap and shitty that can scout. And the Scout Sentinel's perfect for that. If you draw secondary, like engage North Fronts, or area denial, or extend battle lines early on, you don't necessarily want to send an expensive blob out to go and get it. A cheap 55-point Scout Sentinel can do that just fine. We have also, the last bit we've added in here is another Castellum, and we've added in 2 Cadian heavy weapon squads with mortars. We've added in these because we need a little bit of indirect fire, and I wanted to go with some Cadian-themed indirect fire. This will allow us to go after those pesky little shitmuncher units that people love to bring at 2,000 points. Because what most armies do is they'll take loads and loads of, well, they'll take like a few dead-hard bastards. Think like big bricks of Custodes or Destral Terminators, something like that. And they'll pour loads of points into these units, and they'll be really scary. But they still need something that can sit and hold an objective. You don't want to have a big 400-point unit holding a primary objective. So what people do is they take a little shipmunch unit. Maybe it's some Poxwalkers. Maybe it's some Sisters of Silence, some Space Marine Scouts. Maybe it's an opposing 10-man squad of Guardsmen. Or Chaos Cultists. You're going to have something shit. These mortars are perfect shit muncher hunters because they are cheap, but they are powerful enough where they can reliably, over the course of a game, just pick apart all the little shit units your opponent has, which forces them to make a difficult choice. Do they start putting expensive units holding objectives, which means those expensive units aren't killing you, or they sack off the prime objectives and try and win by killing you, which is a very risky strategy. So that's our 2,000 point list, and I think we've covered everything we need. We've got officers, we have got infantry, we've got tanks, and we've even got a bit of indirect fire. But I do know there is going to be a big question hanging over this whole thing. Where's Creed? Creed is like the Cadian officer, right? So surely she should be in this list. There's the reason I've not included Creed is because I think she's a bit expensive these days at 85 points. And also, I tend to prefer not taking named characters. I like taking unnamed characters so I can make them my dudes. I don't have to take a named character in every game and be like, why is like Gilliman in every single battle that I play? Why is like Creed in every single battle that I play? Sometimes I like my army to feel like my dudes. So there is an element of that. Truthfully, I will say it's mostly the points thing. It's more of a secondary reason, the whole your dudes thing. But if you're like, screw that Mordian, I want Creed in this list, this is how I would do it. I would drop this Rogue All Dawn battle tank down to a Vanquisher, which will save you 95 points. I would then take an extra Cadian heavy weapon squad with mortars, getting us that full mortar pit, and I would upgrade one of the Cadian Stellans to Creed. That comes in at exactly 95 points. Of course, that does cause us a bit of an issue because now we've dropped the Rogue All Dawn, and that means you would have to buy an extra Vanquisher. But if there's one thing I know about Guard players, they're always looking for an excuse to buy another tank. So some people might not see that as a problem. Some people might actually see that as a bonus. And with that said, we come to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Is there anything that you would mix up or change around with this list? And what other beginner or themed armies do you want me to have a crack at next? Maybe a Krieg themed one? If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to go ahead and smash that like button. And remember to subscribe to never miss an episode.
Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian Glory Hole, today is your lucky day.